The following program is underwritten by the Nevada Irrigation District. Since 1921, providing clean and healthy drinking and irrigation water to more than 24,000 homes, farms, schools, and businesses in Nevada and Placer counties.
Hi, I'm your host, Lew Sitzer. NCTV Interviews is what you're watching, and we have a special guest today, Jane Rivar. If you don't know of her, you'll know of her soon. She's a local Penn Valleyite, Smartsville resident, and she's a wonderful entertainer, and she's going to be with us today. We'll see some of her, hear and watch some of her work, as well as get to know her better, because she is going to be the lead, our headline act, the culmination of our Day of Giving, which is November 3rd. We do a yearly telethon to support local nonprofits. Thank you, Jane, for giving of yourself to our community, because you are essentially donating your time and talent to the telethon, which will, and she'll be here, I'll mention this a number of times, she'll be here November 3rd, Saturday evening from 7 to 8 p.m. That's a concert to raise money for our local nonprofits. So Jane, welcome.
Good afternoon, I guess. Yeah, thank you.
This will be seen in the afternoon, in the evenings, in the mornings, so who knows when you're watching.
Yeah.
But I'd like people to get to know you a little bit more.
Okay.
So could you give us a little bit of a bio sketch, and also what brought you to the Penn Valley, Smartsville area?
Oh gosh, a bio sketch. Well, my lifelong passion has been music, and so that was reflected in my growing up and my career choice of becoming a high school performing arts director, and teaching all that part, and then moving from that into creating a business, actually out of an idea from my teaching experience, and that took me away from music for a while. I mean, I was connected through the customers, but it was different. And then finally having the courage to come back and do what I wanted to do all along. And in that is what I'm doing now. I'm living my dream, actually, performing all over the world and connecting people to themselves. And along the way, on my journey, I ended up on a flight serendipitously to Grass Valley, where my mom and stepdad lived. And I met my husband on that flight, and we were married 8 weeks later. It's why I need to do a disclaimer, like the commercials, don't jump off of this. But no, actually it was a wonderful thing, and we both love land and love being in nature. And so we spent about 5 years actually looking for a ranch. We lived in Grass Valley and had a home there, and during that time we looked for land for a long time and finally found something pretty close. It was tricky. It was a hard thing,
Because you just didn't want to live in town. You needed more space, a bit more of nature included, and the ranch is something that is actually quite beautiful, and we'll take a look at it in a little while.
Yeah.
But continue if you could.
Yeah, well, and so we found the land, and we had these 7 things that the land had to have, and this piece of property had all of those things. And of course, it was the place where I said I didn't want to live down there. I had this bias about that part of the area, and of course, that's always what happens. The thing that you say never to is always the thing you end up doing. So we put off this realtor for a long time, and finally he kept calling and calling, and finally one day I said, John, let's just look at this. It'll get him off our back, So we did, and we stepped on the property, and I was teary-eyed. I knew, both of us knew in that moment that that was where we were supposed to be, and so it was like it was almost a 2-year escrow.
Really? So, but it sounds like with a marriage in 8 weeks and land that you knew immediately, that you kind of know what you are meant to be doing.
Yeah. I think we're all guided, and I think sometimes in my life I haven't been able to see with my eyes open, and I think I've learned through my journey that I can trust that part of myself. Mm-hmm. Took a long time, so that was part of really stepping into something, because it was a big thing to buy the land and to go somewhere from a home that everything was manicured and perfect to there was no water, there was no electricity. We lived in an RV and a tent for 2 years.
Well, maybe we should take a look at the place where you're now living and have settled into after how many years?
Since 2000.
All right, so you've been there. And
7 years
here we
now.
are looking at it.
Yeah, that's it's beautiful. It's 500 acres, and that is the barn. That's kind of the community, the heart of the ranch, actually.
And you built that?
We built that, and it's huge inside, and that's where we now are putting in my music studio. This is the ranch in springtime. We butt up to Spencerville Wildlife Refuge, so it's just amazing, the wildflowers in the spring. And this is the meadow not far outside the barn, and what I call kind of the sorceress tree, the old gnarly oaks. And this is just a picture of the inside of the barn at an event. That's my husband, John. Looks like a rancher, doesn't he?
And I think this is just part of the barn.
This is only, one small section of the barn, actually.
So it's really, calling it a barn is a little bit of a misnomer in the sense that it's a living space, it's a entertaining space, a performing space.
Yeah,
do
workshop
you have horses
space.
there?
No horses in this barn.
Okay. But you do have horses on the ranch.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a very convertible space. It's about 8,000 square feet. This is the back of the barn, the back patio, and we do things and concerts out on the lawn, and people sit on the patio, so that's kind of a shot of the back patio.
And this is a resource for the community in terms of a venue for performances and retreats and workshops.
Yeah, we work with people privately. We don't advertise, but people come to us. They always hear through us through somebody else. Yeah. And then there's the barn with nobody in it, the back section of the barn. And actually that looks a little bit different now. That's an older picture.
So what was your thinking in building such a place?
Well, we wanted to build something that you could adapt to a lot of different things, because I knew I wanted to do concerts, and we knew we wanted to also teach some creativity workshops. So we wanted to create a space that we could do that. People could move and dance. We've had the taiko drummers have rehearsed out there when they didn't have anywhere to rehearse. So we just thought, okay, if we build this big open area, we can always partition things off, change it around, and it's worked fabulously. It really has. It's, in fact, far better than we thought. So, and it's growing, it's evolved. We didn't know we were going to, have a kitchen in there. We didn't know, So now we're looking for some other areas for storage so we can open up the shop area and use that. Actually, poor John keeps getting pushed out of his barn. The guy stuff ends up somewhere else. But,
right. Well, it's always, you got to please that part because it's important. And this here is a pond or a lake?
Yeah, we are lucky because we have irrigation water. We are at the end of NID's canal. And so we reinstituted all the canals 1.25 miles throughout the ranch. There's 10 ponds. So this is part of a 3-pond that terraces with waterfalls, and we brought in sand, and it's gorgeous. It's a sweet spot on the property. So people come for events, they always end up at the pond. Here's some of the waterfalls, the upper edge of the pond, and I actually helped lay all those stones myself.
I can see why you were taken by the place.
Yeah, and then this is just, we were set up for a picnic. People do things down by the water, and it's just very peaceful. And you can see in the background, and this is that's me at the rose garden, and I've always had roses, so we had to have a rose garden. And then these are the table grapes, and then in the distance you'll see the vineyards, and we put in Petite Syrah. That was John's love and desire to put in a vineyard. All right. So we're just on our 3rd year with those, so they'll be ready next year for the first harvest.
Well, this county's got quite a reputation for grapes
and
and wine, so you'll be one more contributor.
Yeah, it's a labor of love, that's for sure. Then this is, we created a stone circle, actually, 70-foot diameter circle, and moved stones from all over the property. It's irrigated all year round, and we have, events there, ceremonies, whatever. It was just something we felt called to do. So it was a 3-month process.
Sort of a mini Stonehenge, it looks like.
It is, and
In
it's
here.
beautiful, yeah.
Yeah, here's a closer look
Yeah.
at it.
And it's lit at night. Every stone has a light buried in the ground, so at night it's just beautiful and irrigated year round. So in the summer, if you fly above it, we have a small plane, you can see this green round mandala with the stones around it. It's very pretty.
Yeah, and obviously it was meant for just more than you. I mean, this
Yeah.
is something you don't put
Yeah.
lights to light up
I know.
something just for yourselves, although it's nice.
I know. Well, it's like we felt called to do these different things, without going, okay, this is the plan, the business plan. It was like, okay, we just started working organically with the land and what we felt like wanted to occur, and John actually picked the site, so.
And obviously you have horses.
Yeah, this is actually John's horse, Top Gun. And of course was named before John got him, but John's a pilot, so that was appropriate. And he's a love. He's the main horse on the ranch.
That's
So,
great.
yeah, we don't actually raise horses. We just have them for our pleasure.
All right. Well, you've set out on quite a project, and you've gotten there.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's always more to do, but
Yeah.
it's a beautiful place.
Yeah, thank you.
And so this gave you roots, gave you a
Yeah.
setting to carry on.
Yeah.
And so what has been added to that in terms of a journey?
Well, I think the fact that for me as an artist and as a songwriter, what inspires me is nature and what grounds me. So the ranch serves as a holding place for me to just really bring through what wants to move through me. And of course, you didn't see it in the picture, but my grand piano's in the barn. So what's happened now that we've gotten that infrastructure together, it's afforded me the time to really focus on the music and to create a space that I can bring other artists there, or I can have that as my grounding place as I go out into the world, which works both ways, not really or, either way. And it's, I just can't imagine doing what I do without having that, And it's a place where, of course, John and I, end up, because he travels. So we both go out in these different places in the world, and then we come back and, just walking on the land. Like last night, I was walking after dark, and the moonlight was guiding me, and it was just the night birds, and we're singing, and, I think nature is a great teacher.
Yeah, I think that if we could do more of that in our lives, the world would be a lot saner.
Oh, yeah, and look at the natural cycles in women's lives and the ebb and flow of the tide and everything. We miss that. We forget that we are beings of nature. And
I was recently watching a Shakespeare production, and in many of Shakespeare's plays, there is this return to nature. There is a leaving of the court or wherever the activity is happening and going to nature for rejuvenation, for peace of mind, just to gather one's wits and to relate to the earth and to the natural surroundings.
Right.
So even way back when, there was always this acknowledgement that nature was an important part of our lives.
Yeah, and you look at mythology and the stories of the heroes and heroines where they quest, they go out and they quest and they come back, and it's so key, I think, to everything. It's our essential nature.
Right.
And we actually had a woman who did a vision quest on the property 2 years ago, and it was phenomenal. It was just people from Los Angeles, all over the world, came, and they were out on the land for 3 days. And the difference between when they left the barn and came back after was just, and the stories, I sat around the fire circle with them as they'd tell the stories, and they all journaled, and it was amazing. They were just like, and all of them had life-changing things happen after they went back home.
Right, yeah.
And that's why we bought the ranch, was to serve as a place for people to be in nature.
We'll expect some phone calls.
Some visitors.
Yeah. Now, in your description of your journey, you talk
Yeah.
of it as a healing, a journey of healing. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, of course, I feel like we're all on a healing journey because I think the soul always calls for healing, whether it's a conscious journey or an unconscious journey. And for me, I've had an interesting gift of lots of different illness. I've dealt with disease, and coming out of each of those experiences have been some amazing things, amazing stories, amazing learnings about myself, about mind-body connection. And so, through those experiences, I think too, also the music evolved, different things. The music evolved, the art evolved. Actually, I wouldn't be doing the feather paintings, the mandalas, if it wasn't for having had Lyme disease, So through that journey, because I have been pretty much of a very busy, driving kind of woman most of my life, and always compensating for a feeling of lack of self-worth, which is what most, we all, it's the journey of self-love and self-acceptance and
needing acknowledgement, recognition.
I know. It's like, what is this? That we're born perfect. We're born into this world, whole. And why don't we get it, So then our whole journey is back to knowing what we already knew when we started. So for me, the experience was through illness and through a lot of, a couple really traumatic things. And so I think for a long time, I just kept doing to avoid dealing with whatever those feelings were and becoming conscious. And then I finally went, I see a pattern here. What is this pattern? And so I committed to a deeper understanding of myself and started a journey into doing a lot of just all kinds of exploration, all kinds of world religions and spirituality and art and music and mind-body medicine, all types of things, and kind of drew on all those things to try to sort it out. And as I did, different windows would open of perception that I could kind of see, this is what I'm doing. And also you look at your relationships and go, okay, do I want to continue my life with these certain kinds of things happening? And so as part of my show, I decided that it wasn't about doing a concert where I just sing for an hour. It was about how do I help people, inspire people to live in the fullness of who they are? And how can what I have made it through be of assistance to them? And so I weave story with song as I tell different pieces of the healing journey and how I found, wholeness along the way, and how I integrated those parts of myself, masculine and feminine, and how I stepped into really feeling finally like, I think I'm an okay person, without somebody having to tell me that, 20 times a day.
Right. Well, we should take a look at a sample of your work. You brought a DVD in.
Yeah.
And it's a sample of what you will be seeing when you come to watch the concert that Jane will be performing 7 p.m. Saturday night, November the 3rd, as part of the Day of Giving. Hopefully a time when you'll be watching NCTV for 12 hours. Well, you'll take a few breaks, I know. But we'll be doing a 12-hour telethon to raise money for the local nonprofits. And Jane has graciously donated her talents for that. So let's take a look at what she has produced.
I am a woman who knows how to feel. I am a woman up in black, you can try and hold me back. No veil will ever hold the power of my soul. I am a woman who has faced the night. I am a woman of light. I am a woman who has faced the night. A woman of light. I am a woman whose soul must speak. I am a woman of peace. I am a woman whose soul must speak. A woman of peace. I am a woman through the changing years. I am a woman with tears. I am a woman through the changing years. A woman with tears. I am a woman. I am a woman. I am a woman of the moon. I am a
Well, that was a beautiful production, a beautiful
you.
piece.
Thank
And
you.
I know it's something that you've worked on a long time, but you've also worked on an extended performance, part of which we're going to see. Or maybe why
Yeah.
don't you explain what that's going to be?
Well, what you're going to see is actually this show that I did in Norway. It's a new show. It's a combination of storytelling, visual arts, and music. And we use a lot of imagery along with the stories and the things that come up. So it's a nice, it's almost like an embrace. It's like we want to take you on a journey as part of the experience. Not you, the audience, and me be the performer. It's like we are together and we go on a journey together. And it was really wonderful in Norway to do it and see for the first time whether it worked or not, and because it's what I've always wanted to do. And it did. It was very beautiful. And at one point, I got really touched and almost lost it because I could see everyone in the audience. And they were really moved by the experience. It wasn't about me. It was by the experience of I could tell when they'd reconnect to themselves. And you just get a sense of that. It was like, oh, that's all any artist, at least from my perspective, ever wants, is that someone comes back to themselves in the experience of the music.
Now, I noticed it was particularly focused on women in the movie, in the DVD that we watched. How appropriate is it for men? Is this a mixed gathering?
Absolutely mixed. In fact, men seem to really enjoy what I do. And I've gotten a lot of feedback from women and men, but even men on my website. So it's not just
bring your
guy. Yeah,
bring your guys.
Watch him get touched. If you want to see him feel, bring him. So no, it's definitely and. It's interesting. I do a lot of work with women just because it's happened, and I think it's because of the video. The video has gotten around the world, and so that brings me automatically into working with women because of the video. But most of the concerts I do really aren't just for women.
So this concert that you did in Norway,
Yeah.
is this something that you're working on for other countries and other appearances?
Yeah, actually, it's going to be a part of a series. It's ended up that way. This is one section of the healing journey. Then the same show or similar show will be used that focuses on creativity and how you work with that. And it's interesting how it's evolving, and I've been using it for corporate things actually too, because they're doing a lot of things where they're wanting to bring in spirituality or something that actually supports the human beingness of their staff.
It's
And-
easy to get lost in work.
Yeah.
And, in fact, that's one of our maladies today, I think, is
Absolutely.
that we really get lost.
Yeah.
Work takes over, multitasking takes over, and all of a sudden, where are we? Who
Right.
are we?
Yeah. How do I become a human being, which is what I am, instead of a human doing? That's my line. It's like I've been a human doing most of my life, and so can I just be and value myself in that space? That's the other key, because our society doesn't value that.
Right.
I mean, how many times have you been on the beach and somebody goes, "Great, I'm so glad you're reading a book and relaxing." No.
Yeah.
It's for all the things that you do. Wow, you're great. Look at what you've done.
Yeah, so it's ways to find, to sort of value yourself and take time for yourself.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's a wonderful journey that I'm going to look forward to participating in, because I'm going to pull myself away from the telethon and come to the concert.
Great.
And we'll probably end the telethon from the concert, because it's a full hour show.
Yeah.
It'll run from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m.
And my band will be there.
There is a fee at the door. It's a donation to all the nonprofits, and it's
Yeah.
going to be shared between all the nonprofits. So
That's
come.
wonderful.
The Imaginarium is where the concert will be.
Right.
And there's only about 125 seats available.
Right.
So tickets will be available here at the at NCTV if you want to get advanced sales, just to make sure you get a seat.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great experience.
Yeah,
And
it'll be fun.
I want to thank you for coming into our community, coming into our studio and our homes. And I want to remind people about a number of things. One is that we are doing a telethon November 3rd, all volunteers. So if you're interested in helping out, come by the station or give us a call. We're here most of the time. Also, we're about to have a second channel, Channel 17, which will be for government. And we're about to extend to Lake of the Pines, Alta Sierra, Colfax, Meadow Vista, Truckee. So our
That's
television
great.
station is growing. And we need members. We need ways, because we are a nonprofit, we need ways to keep on doing what we're doing and find some time to relax and find ourselves as well. So again, Jane, it's been wonderful. I look forward to more time together.
Absolutely.
Not all work.
No, that's right. Definitely not.
And again, thank you all for watching NCTV. Please continue to do so, and we look forward to shows in the future. Thank you.
following program is underwritten by the Nevada Irrigation District. Since 1921, providing clean and healthy drinking and irrigation water to more than 24,000 homes, farms, schools, and businesses in Nevada and Placer counties.